apologise for my absence recently. I think I mentioned in my previous video that I was going through a bit of a busy period and that did not let up until now. But I'm very excited to bring you this video. As you can see here, we have an atlas of Eastern Europe in the 20th century by Richard and Ben Crampton. Before we get going, I would like you to drop in the comments anything that you found interesting about this atlas, anything that you learned and anything that you perhaps know that maybe wasn't in the atlas, sort of, related to what we talk about today. So yeah, drop that in the comments. My support links are in the description. With all that said, thank you for tuning in once again, and let's, I guess, just start. So you can see that hang on, I'm propping the book up on something, so you can see that this is my university library. This is where I got the book from. Okay, so we can see, first published 1996 by Routledge, and we can see here there is a stamp for the 5th of February 1996, so it has to have been circulating by then. So one of the reasons I was so drawn to this atlas when I had a little look through the library at Eastern European history was, as we can see throughout the contents, if we pick up a little bit here, 1900, 1914, 1900 to 1908, 1900 to 1912, then we go through the Great War, we go into the 20s, into the 30s and 40s, down here all the way through to the 80s, through the 60s, 70s, and finally we end here with the election results of the the newly formed states after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. So we have a really good representation of the whole of the 20th century, which I thought was very interesting. I'm going to go through as much as I can today. It's a fairly large book, and I can't guarantee we'll get through everything, but we're going to have a look. And I hope you guys enjoy this. We've got a few abbreviations here. A for Austria, that's pretty, pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, things like the Christian Democratic People's Party in Hungary, CDPP, I guess that is to do. We have maps and we have writing, so wow, we have a lot of abbreviations. So I'm just gonna skip through the introduction. So here we can see it says Eastern Europe physical features before the First World War. I'll just read this first little paragraph here. So it says, of all the great river systems found in Eastern Europe, only one, the Elbe, drains into an open sea, the North Sea. The remainder, for the most part, find their way into the Danube and thence to the Black Sea. So as we can see here, I'm not too sure exactly what year this map is from. Doesn't actually say. Got a little scale there, and we can see, I guess this is parts of water, and these coloured parts, as we can see by the key down here, denote, I guess it's relief, right? That's what it's called. But you can tell what part of Europe we're in here. This is obviously Italy, and then we have Macedonia here, Croatia, Bosnia, Slovenia. Okay, apologies. I knocked my camera over like an idiot. So yeah, as I was saying, yeah, we've got, so this up here would be modern day Germany, Lithuania, White Russia, Ukraine, Galicia, I'm not sure, Bukovina, Moldavia, places that I guess aren't, maybe they're not called that anymore. So this one looks at ethnic groups, so I'll bring you in a bit closer. So as you can see, we've got a key here. Estonians, Magyars, who are Hungarians, right? So Magyars here, Hungarians. Western Slavs, Eastern Slavs, Southern Slavs, Baltic peoples. The dots are Germans. The Czech down here is Greeks. We've got Albanians, we've got Italians, which are obviously here. So yeah, very interesting. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, all of these states up here. So yeah, very interesting. We have another one here, which is religious groups. So we have Protestant, Roman Catholic, Orthodox, Greek Catholic, or Uniate, and Muslim. So I guess, what's an example? Here we have two different lines. So we have a mixture of Orthodox and Roman Catholics. Here we have a mix of Roman Catholics and Protestants, which historically has not gone down well, I guess. But yeah, Orthodox here. Where do we have any Muslims here? We've got some Muslims here. Yeah, and a little bit here as well. So yeah, I think you can see why I like this atlas, because it shows a lot of different, I guess, aspects of geography that we don't necessarily think of. I think it's very easy when we think of geography to think of physical geography, to think of maps as just denoting where people live, not necessarily their religious beliefs. We, I guess, automatically associate the peoples of a nation with just being from that country, without necessarily considering the diversity in things like religion and ethnic groups. So yeah, I think this, I'll read a little bit here. So it says no larger scale map. I'll bring you in. No larger scale map can portray the mixtures of religions found in some regions. For example, Transylvania, which is just here. For example, Transylvania, nor show every small and isolated religious minority, such as the Greek Catholics of Bulgaria or the Protestants of Macedonia. Protestantism had, however, established a stronghold in eastern Hungary and Transylvania in the Reformation, and it survived. So the Reformation's Martin Luther, right, in the 1400s, I think, something like that, 1500s maybe. And it had survived counter-reformation, when those areas, particularly the latter, were relatively free from excessive intolerance. Changes in boundaries and subsequent population movements, particularly after the Second World War, often meant changes in religious affiliation, as in East Prussia, which was predominantly Protestant until 1945, whereafter it was overwhelmingly Roman Catholic and Orthodox. So yeah, as I say, I'm not going to read everything, but you sort of get the idea. Okay, here's what's going to be awkward, because we've got a map that's the other way around, so I'm going to bring you in here like this. So as we can see, there we go, yeah. So administrative boundaries in Austria-Hungary. So I think it's fairly well known now, but Austria and Hungary were once one country, right? The Kingdom of Austria-Hungary, which is Austria, Styria, Hungary, around there. But yeah, as you can see, we've got the boundaries between Austria and the Hungarian So we've got here nationalities in Austria-Hungary. We've got a map here which denotes it. 36% German, 23% Czech, 3% Italian, 3% Serb/Croat. So that's Serbia and Croatia. 18% Polish, 4% Slovene, 12% Ruthene, and that's Austria. So this is Hungarian kingdom. So Magyar, the peoples native to Hungary. Then we have a mixture here of people from other countries in Europe. I'm not going to show you every one. We're not going to go with that. That's Russian provinces, but okay, where are we? Ethnic groups in the Russian provinces, Jewish settlements. We'll skip over that. So, I remember scanning through and there was a page I wanted to show. No. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Let's bring you in here. So, the First Balkan War, 1912 to 13. And as you can see, the arrows in the bottom right on the key denote the armies of all of the countries involved in these wars. So we've got Serbian armies, we've got Greek armies, we have Bulgarian armies, we have a Montenegrin. Is it Montenegrin? Yes. Armies. And we can see where they engaged, where they came from, where they battled at. I guess where the arrows meet is where they battled. And yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting page because the Balkan Wars definitely did a lot to change the, I guess, territorial boundaries of Europe at the time. And we'll see in a few pages' time, I think the Ottomans were big big losers in this war. So yeah, that's an interesting one to look at. If we see a lot of Serbian armies descending on the lands of, that looks like, whereabouts is that? Macedonia, places like that, Albania, maybe not that far, Kosovo, modern day Kosovo. So yeah, and we have Bulgaria engaging. If you look over on the right, Bulgaria engaging towards Constantinople, which was the Ottoman Empire at the time. Constantinople, now known as Istanbul, I think is the largest city in Turkey. So yeah, very interesting. Okay, back to our regular setup. So yeah, here's an interesting one. Territorial changes after the Balkan Wars. So as you can see, we have territory acquired by Montenegro. So look down here. We have acquired by Montenegro from the Ottoman Empire, acquired by Romania from Bulgaria, and then these three acquired by Bulgaria from the Ottoman Empire, acquired by Greece from the Ottoman Empire, acquired by Serbia from the Ottoman Empire. So it's fairly clear to see who the biggest losers were in the Balkan Wars. Obviously the Ottomans, and it was around this time, I think, that the Ottoman Empire began to lose a lot of its territory. And I think by 1914 it had lost a huge chunk of what it previously had, what had previously been considered the Ottoman Empire. So yeah, very interesting. So here we come to the First World War and the Versailles Peace Settlement. The Treaty of Versailles was imposed imposed on the Central Powers after their defeat at the end of the First World War. And I think it's often cited that what am I trying to say? The Treaty of Versailles, the quite unreasonable terms of the Treaty of Versailles were partly responsible for the mindset in Germany being able to develop such that the Nazi Party was able to take over. So, yeah, it's interesting. So this one's a cool page, and my stand for the book nearly fell over. So up here we can see grey arrows, or I guess they're like nails, right? Grey is the Russian army, black is the German army, and the sort of piano Czech style is the Austro-Hungarian armies. So we can see here that obviously Germany and Russia engaged in these areas here. And this is, let's have a look, so horizontal territory occupied by Germany, so here and here. Then we have territory occupied by Russia in East Prussia in August of 1914, so that's this bit here. Then we have some engagement between the Russians and the Austro-Hungarians around here. And then if we look down here, we have Austro-Hungarian armies moving on Serbia and the Balkans. So yeah, let's read this little paragraph here. So the First World War in Eastern Europe. The Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was assassinated in Sarajevo on the 28th of June 1914. Austria-Hungary held the Serbian government partially responsible for the killing and demanded that the Serbs make promises of good behaviour and allow Austria-Hungary some hand in the supervision of the Serbian police. The Serbs accepted all Austria's terms except the latter. As a result, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia on the 28th of July. The intervening month had been needed not only for negotiations with the Serbs but also with Germany and Italy, Austria-Hungary's diplomatic partners. And then Russia mobilising in support of Serbia develops into the Central Powers versus, I don't think they weren't called the Allies, were they, in the First World War? I don't know what they were called. But. So, here we have the First World War in Eastern Europe, 1915. So, this area occupied by the Central Powers. So as you can see, Russia have been pushed back quite significantly from the last map. Warsaw here, modern day Poland. So yeah, you think just how far we've done obviously a map of the German Empire in 1914 on the channel if you haven't already seen that. We've got some changes here. We've got some area occupied by the Central Powers again. Around Montenegro, Albania, Macedonia, Serbia. Gonna move past this, the Brusilov offensive. We just have basically this map here, a zoomed in version of this one. And that's 1916. So here we have the First World War in Eastern Europe in 1917. So we have these parts here, this part and here, and this part here is territory taken by the Central Powers. And then, what am I looking for here? Okay, I think that's all that we have here. So there's not too much to be said about that one. So, the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, sorry, not Litovsk, I think Brest, where is Brest? Brest is in, oh there we go, Brest-Litovsk is in Poland. So, horizontal is territory effectively controlled by the Central Powers after the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. which is now known as Latvia. I guess maybe it was known as something different. And I think this is this, I'm not sure if we're into Finland over here, maybe we're not. But yeah. So this is just Ukraine and Moldavia. Yeah, 1918 to 24. Okay, so the peace settlement. This is quite an interesting one to take a look at. I think what we're going to do, by the way, is split this into two parts. So, or as many parts as we need to. So, you know, I think we're barely a quarter of the way into the book, so it might have to be several parts. But yeah, horizontal lines here are territory lost by Russia. The lines going this way, territory lost by Germany. This way, territory lost by Austria-Hungary. So this now becomes Czechoslovakia. Territory lost by Turkey until 1923. Here, so we're no longer Ottoman Empire, we are now Turkey. As you can see, and this is 1919 to 23. So yeah, we can see starting to form more of a familiar, I guess, map. But as you can see, Kiev here obviously is Ukraine, and this is all seen as Russia. Minsk is the capital of Belarus, which is now obviously its own country, but we're still talking about Russia here, so that's different. We have Bucharest, which is Romania, Sofia, modern-day Bulgaria, Budapest, Vienna, Munich, Breslau, which is Poland, Leipzig, Berlin, Hamburg, Copenhagen, Stockholm, so we've got a lot of big cities here. We've got Athens down at the bottom there, Constantinople, still known as that, and not Istanbul. So this is about the Balkans and Eastern Europe in the years after, in between the war. In between the wars, yeah. So this now becomes the USSR after Vladimir Lenin takes over. Okay, interwar, international incidents and disputes. Let's have a little read of this. So, despite the many problems created by the peace treaties in Eastern Europe from 1921 to 38, no Eastern European state went to war with another. When it broke out, came as in 1914 because the great European powers used East European issues to pursue their own policy goals. Germany was inevitably involved in East European affairs both because of the large German minorities in the area and because one part of Germany, East Prussia, was physically isolated from the country. The Polish corridor, which is here, as you can see. So this part here is Germany, so technically I guess an exclave of Germany at this time. And the Polish corridor here separates East Prussia, Germany and Germany. The Polish corridor was to become a subject of bitter dispute in the second half of the 1930s. At the same time, Berlin began to campaign actively for the interests of Volksdeutsche, those of German stock who lived outside the confines of German state. Nowhere was this more important than in Czechoslovakia, with its large concentration of Germans in the Sudetenland, which is here, as we can see, Sudetenland. And I think one of the policies of the Allies before the war was known as appeasement, and yeah, I think they allowed Hitler to take parts of the Sudetenland because of its high number of ethnic Germans, initially to try and stave off war, and then I think he basically just invaded the rest of the country, and that's part of what set things in motion. I think it was Poland in the end was the last straw, certainly for the UK at least. I'm not too sure about France, and USSR. But obviously the USSR was allies with Germany right at the start of the Second World War. So, yeah. Assassinations in Eastern Europe. I didn't remember seeing this one. Alexander Andraga, King and Queen of Serbia. In June 1903, a military coup toppled the King and Queen of Serbia in a particularly brutal fashion. The Obrenović dynasty had traditionally followed a pro-Habsburg foreign policy. Their rivals, the I'm not even going to try the Karageorgieviches, who now came to the throne, were more inclined towards Russia. Petko, the Prime Minister of Bulgaria from the summer of 1906, murdered in Sofia, 27th of February, 11 March. Wait, what? Murdered Sofia, 27th of February to the 11th of March in an act of personal revenge. Okay, oh, sorry, yeah. Franz Ferdinand, so we already talked about that. Tisza István, leader of the Liberal Party, which he renamed the Party of Work, Prime Minister of Hungary. Between these dates, assassinated in his Budapest flat by soldiers on the 31st of October 1918. Interwar Albania. Bit of a focus on Albania here. So we'll skip over that. That's not really something I know too much about, so I wouldn't want to say a lot about it without knowing, because obviously that's not right in many ways. Interwar Bulgaria, same deal. Wow, a lot of pages on Interwar Bulgaria. I have a feeling that the authors of this book maybe, wow, look at all this. That's incredible. Maybe there must be a lot of literature about these topics for them to be included in such detail. So let's go through Interwar. Wow, look at all this. Partition of Czechoslovakia. So that's, I guess, the splitting of it. Estonia. Political, economic, ethnic and religious composition, Hungary. So yeah, as you can see, so what I will say is that, as you can see, Eastern and Central Europe was a bit of a boiling pot in this period, and it was extremely volatile place. And that's not to say that, you know, politics and matters of power have not been volatile throughout history. That's obviously the case. But yeah, as you can see, a lot of civil unrest and interfighting among peoples. So actually, looking at the time, I think we're going to call it here. So we were at the Treaty of Trianon, which is page 77, as you can see there, page 77. So we will pick up, we'll do another part to this, we'll pick up on page 77 next time. I really hope you've enjoyed. As I said at the start, please let me know down below what you thought, and if you knew anything interesting about these maps and what's said in this book. With that said, I want to thank you ever so much for watching. If you made it this far, it really means a lot, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Thank you guys,